Hello, my name is Edwin Devilas and I am a 2D animator. And here I'll be answering some questions for this interview. So let's get started. First question is describe your creative process and what are the major steps? For me, before I usually go into a project, I like to have a little self-visualization. And that just means to brainstorm. It's always good to kind of be fun with it and just kind of come up with random ideas. I think you should at least have at the most five, maybe even 10 ideas, because most likely half of those ideas are not going to make it through. After that, I tend to go into a lot of research. Animators like myself tend to go into a lot of research and reference material. Reference definitely helps it out in the end because it just takes a whole lot of stress off your animation and your process. Then usually after that, it's good to just kind of draw out your ideas. It's always good to have it in your head, but sometimes you just have to put it on paper. You can draw, write. Sometimes I tend to write things in my journal book and even just doodle there on the side. That even helps me out as well. Um, and then usually after that is time to get your feet wet. It's usually the creation process. And at first you may think, okay, the first creation, the first drawing probably is not going to be right, but that's okay. I tend to go through revisements after revisements, and eventually I find something that I'm satisfied with, and it just kind of keeps going after that. So second question, how do you measure the success of design? Um, that's a good question. The success of design, I think it's really important to have, I want to say you should have high regards for your work. As much as you critique your work, you should at least have high standards for it as well. Because let's say if you have a positive outlook on your work, I think that somewhat transitions into different areas, I guess thinking, I think, sorry, it's very hard to explain, but it's almost as if you wake up and if you have a bad day, you think you're gonna have a bad day, but if you wake up and think more positive, like, hey, I'm gonna have a good day, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna do that, then most likely you might have a very good day. And I think that kind of transitions the same way as if you're putting your work out there. If you think your work is gonna be great, don't get me wrong. You should at least be ready for that harsh criticism, but at the same time, you should really be positive and think that hey, my work is what I think is ideal to be, and I hope that other people also think that way too. So to go into full depth of the question, I think you should also think of the audience. We create not only for ourselves, but I feel like we do create for others as well, which I think that's very important. Um, it's not just for like the likes or the followers or how much money you're making off your commissions. I think once you appeal to people, once you relate to them, and the feedback that you get from them, I think that really measures the success. That it actually tells you, oh, okay, wow, my artwork is able to reach this many people. Then I think then I'm doing a very good job. So I I want to say that that actually measures the success of your artwork. Uh, Last question. And just a side note, also, I'm so sorry. Just a side note. A lot of us, a lot of us artists tend to not want to put our work out there. We spend so much time on something. We could spend like a year, months on something, and think it's really good. And then eventually, once we put it out there, we're like here, and then it just, you know, gets trashed on. And that's because we don't go through iterations. We had to put our work out there more often. Otherwise, we're not going to know exactly how good it is. So that's just something I just wanted to end on the second question. But let's continue. The third question: walk through your portfolio. Which pieces are you most proud of and why? Um, I can think of one piece. So this is back in 2018. My school gallery was reaching out to students, and they wanted to showcase their artwork. So me at the time, I was like, I was still figuring things out. So I was kind of like, why not? I like to showcase something of I did. So I decided to make a painting. It was a painting of I just wanted to capture something that most people don't, really think about. And I like to capture people in general. So I painted a picture of two children, and they're very impoverished children, but they looked happy. And during the whole process, I wasn't really much of like, okay, I want this to be like looked upon and just like glored. It was definitely more like a learning lesson, I guess. I felt more involved in the work, and once I finished it, I can't remember how many hours I put, but I was just very satisfied with it, like I was really happy that I kind of made it. And it ended up getting shown in the gallery, and surprised to me that a few days later it was actually purchased by someone, which I got to even email that person and thank him, because I didn't get a chance to see him in person. But it was at that time, I didn't want to say it didn't define me as an artist, because anyone can really be an artist, but it just made me feel confident. It really made me feel confident in my more it made me feel confident in my artistic ability, and not just in my ability, but just everything that I was doing at that time. I was very just astonished, like, wow, I created that and that happened, so like what else could I do? So it was really great for me at that time. So I guess that's all the questions. So that ends the interview, and well, thank you for having me.